Welcome to the Membership Guys podcast. Kick-ass advice and tips for membership site owners.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 248 of the Membership Guys podcast. I'm your host, Mike Morrison, one half of the Membership Guys. Thank you so much for joining me this week for another installment of proven practical tips and advice on growing a successful membership business. We've been delivering the goods for membership site owners every single week for 248 weeks. Can you believe that? That's crazy. And this week we've got another fantastic episode because we're talking about a problem, a concern that I think a lot of people in our audience will be familiar with and may even have struggled with themselves. And that is overcoming the fear of giving your expertise away for free. This is important, it's relevant, and I think a lot of people listening will be familiar with this problem, this concern, because the majority of online memberships we work with, and certainly memberships we see in our various communities, are ones that are based around expertise. They're founded by an expert in a specialist field. They're trading in expertise and knowledge. And when marketing those types of memberships, positioning yourself as credible, demonstrating that expertise, establishing trust in your ability to solve a specific problem is key. Content marketing, putting out free content, is the simplest way to do that. It generates traffic, builds awareness, generates leads, demonstrates your expertise, and it's one of the most effective ways to promote your membership. But for some membership owners, the idea of publishing content for free, blogs, podcasts, videos, Facebook Lives, is a one that concerns them. If they give away their best stuff, their best ideas, their expertise for free, why on earth would anyone pay to join their membership? In fact, this episode is inspired from something that one of our members posted inside the Membership Academy community. They were really struggling with the idea of creating free content. They understood how important and how useful content marketing is for promoting and growing your membership, but they just could not get past this roadblock. They just could not overcome the fear of giving their expertise away for free because they were worried that if they did that, people just wouldn't have a reason to join their membership. And I think anytime you're selling premium content, you're going to have that fear. You're going to be scared and nervous about getting the question, why should I pay for this when there's so much available online for free? And it's bad enough that you're competing with other people's free content, but if you're also giving free content away, then that's crazy, right? So that's what I want to talk about. That's what I want to help people overcome in this episode. And I think there's three main things that we need to understand or remind ourselves of in order to overcome this concern. The first is that the value proposition of your membership is not tied up entirely in your content. It's not about the stuff. Nobody joins a membership because you have the most stuff. People join a membership because they want solutions to problems. And content is just one piece of the puzzle when it comes to those solutions. There's Vanessa DeMauro all the way back in, I think it was 2011, 2010, who first wrote that people come for content and stay for community. And it's very, very important to remember that with your own membership. Yes, your content will form a big, big part of your value proposition, but it isn't the be all and end all. And the truth is, while your content is the thing that will probably get people through the door, what happens inside the community, accountability, access to you as the expert, peer support, the ability to ask questions and get answers from like-minded people, that is where the true value is. That's the real value proposition. So I think in trying to overcome this fear of giving away free content, of giving your expertise away, we really need to decouple this idea that value and content are intertwined. It isn't about the stuff. I think sometimes we can get into a content arms race and we can get a little bit lost in thinking that our premium content is the be all and end all. But the truth is, it isn't. The best memberships offer so much more than what's in their content library. The true value comes from the community. It comes from having access to you. It comes from being part of a group of like-minded people who support each other, who cheer each other on, who answer each other's questions, who share that journey, share their experiences. So that's the first thing we need to remind ourselves of. Your value proposition does not start and end with your content. So big thing to remember if you're struggling with that fear of giving away expertise of publishing free content. The second thing to remember is that you get to control where the line is between free and paid in terms of how in-depth, how comprehensive the content you create is. Generally, your blog posts, your podcasts, your videos, they're not going to be as all-encompassing. They're not going to be as deep or cover as many different facets of a topic as your courses, as your resources would. So you get to control the relationship between your free and your paid content. And actually, if you do that well, your free stuff will just organically act as a lead-in to your paid content. So giving away your expertise can actually equate to giving away the first step of a 10-step process where it'll just be a no-brainer to pay to join the membership to access the next steps of that journey. So you get to control that. It's all about how deep you go with your public content. There's a couple of little rules of thumb that you can use when it comes to the content you give away versus the content that you sell. So the broadest of those is to give away the what, give away the why, and sell the how. So, for example, you might write a blog post publicly titled 4 clauses you should include in your tenancy agreements that most people overlook. So you're telling people the what, you're telling people the why. So, these are 4 clauses that should be in your tenancy agreements. That's the what. The why will be within that. You're talking about why you should include them and how most people overlook them. You're not giving them the how of the bigger picture. So your paid course that connects to that blog post could be a course on how to write a watertight tenancy agreement. Somebody reading your blog post isn't going to be able to take those 4 clauses that you talk about and go away and write an entire tenancy agreement. If they want to do that, they need to take your course that's inside your membership. Again, staying with kind of the property market here, which is one I have no knowledge of, but hopefully the examples still work. You could write a blog post which talks about why you need to start doing quarterly property inspections. Again, you're pinpointing a specific topic, you're talking about the why, but then the content that's in your paid membership could be a process, a checklist that someone can download, the ultimate property inspection checklist. So your blog post is the why you need to start doing this thing, why this is important. Your premium content is the how. Here is the list that you literally print out and have in your hand as you perform this task. So that line, giving away the what, giving away the why, selling the how. Again, with the Membership Guys blog, we can give you 10 tips for choosing the right membership plugin. And then, again, that's the what, that's the why. So we'll talk about stuff that's important, why it's important. But actually, you want the walkthroughs that show you how to set up the membership plugin. That's where you join the membership and you get access to that and a whole bunch of other stuff. So that rule of thumb in terms of identifying the line between free content and paid content, again, it's really, really useful for helping you to understand the symbiotic relationship between your free stuff and your paid stuff. There's another rule of thumb which comes down to width and depth. So this relates to the specificity of a subject and the depth with which you cover that subject. So your free content will typically be broad in scope and shallow in depth. So you might write a blog article about the 10 best bicycle racing tracks you need to visit before you die. Again, that's really, really broad. And you're not going to go into too much depth. You might write a paragraph on each of them, why they're so great. But, it's broad in scope and shallow in depth. You could alternatively flip it. So you go really narrow, really specific in terms of scope, and you go really in depth into that one specific area. So you could write an article about the 10 best electronic guitars that you can buy for under $200. So in terms of scope, that is really, really broad. And you're not going to go too in-depth within this article. You might write a paragraph on each of the choices, why it's good, why you might need to buy it. Here's a link to actually buy it. But it's a broad-ranging, fairly light piece of content that will still be useful to people. So you're going broad and you're going shallow. You can flip that and you can create content that's really, really specific. It's really narrow in terms of its focus, but you go really in depth into it. So again, sticking with the idea of electronic guitars, you've got your broad and shallow 10 best electric guitars for under $200. You've got your narrow and deep article on how to tune the Les Paul ABC 321 electric guitar. I'm not a musician, that's not a model number, but you get the gist. Now that is potentially an article or a video that you can go really, really in-depth into. But because it's so focused and so narrowly specific on a real small aspect of your topic, then that's not going to diminish the value of your premium content. So here, two different approaches at your free content based on width and depth of scope and coverage. Broad and shallow, narrow and deep for your free content. Then your paid content is broad and deep. So you have your course, the ultimate buyer's guide to electric guitars, in which you cover the entire process of researching and identifying and trying out guitars and finding the right supplier, tuning them and this, that and the other. So that's the other rule of thumb. You've got the rule of thumb where you give away the what, you give away the why, you sell the how, and you've got the rule of thumb based on breadth and depth. So when you understand that and you embrace that and you recognize that there is a line between free and paid, and free content doesn't need to negate premium content, then you start to really get that picture of how one can support the other. And that goes a long way towards overcoming that fear of putting out free content, giving your expertise for free. And I talk a little bit more about how to decide which content should be free and which content should be paid in episode 167 of the Membership Guys podcast. You can head to themembershipguys.com/167 if you want to dive into that a little bit more. But hopefully that's helping you figure out what that line is and how that could all work. And so the final thing to think about, if this is something you're struggling with, is convenience and the value of convenience. So we talked about controlling the depth you go into with your free content and identifying that line and playing with that line. But let's say you have so much free stuff out there that if someone was willing to spend the time, they could learn absolutely everything your membership teaches by rifling through years worth of your free content archives and piecing everything together. Let's say you've got 500 pieces of content that are narrow and deep. And when you add all that narrow stuff together, you end up with something that is wide and deep. So let's say that's a situation. How much effort would that take? How much time would that take? How inconvenient would it be for someone to piece all that stuff together and probably have to go off to other sites and other resources and, again, cobble together all these little individual pieces of content? How much of an inconvenience is that? How much more valuable would it be to get that info from a single location with just one or two clicks, with just the bits that they need, with no repetition, because repetition can happen across multiple blog posts and multiple pieces of content when someone's creating them as standalone bits of content rather than as part of a cohesive course. To get that stuff with all killer, no filler, all in one spot, in the right order, with action steps, with additional resources and so on. That's so much more valuable, right? So much more convenient. That's worth paying for. That added convenience, that elimination of the hassle of having to cobble stuff together from multiple places, multiple dates and so on. There's massive value in that. It's worth paying to get rid of that nonsense, to shortcut that process, to have your problem solved quicker, to have a more focused solution rather than one that's comprised of notes from 20 different blog posts, podcast interviews and whatnot. So again, it's a case of detaching from the notion of value and content being one of the same. There's so much value in convenience. Now, this doesn't mean that if you're starting a membership, you just shove all of your podcasts, all of your blog posts into your membership and then say, okay, that's it. You're getting that. That's what you're paying for. There's nothing else. But the idea behind, again, recognizing that there's various elements of what you do that have value to them, where that value is not just about the content itself, but it's about how it's presented. It's about how it's organized. It's about access to supporting materials, access to a community, the ability to ask questions and all that sort of stuff. That's where the value comes from. So if you're struggling with the idea of giving away your expertise for free, whether it's through content marketing, whether it's through public speaking, whether it's podcasting, doing Facebook Lives, doing webinars, don't allow that to put you off utilizing all these things that can be so powerful for promoting your membership, so powerful for demonstrating your expertise, for positioning you as the go-to person in your membership, for generating leads, for building awareness, for generating traffic. Don't let that fear cost you all of that stuff. It's so important to not get confused about what your value proposition actually is. It's not about the stuff. And remember, people come for content, they stay for the community. That community, access to you, support is invaluable. You have control. You can determine where the line is between free and paid. And it just requires you to get that right mindset about what constitutes free content, what constitutes paid content, and how to balance the two, how to connect them with each other. And also recognizing that things like convenience, just convenience of having everything you need in one place, structured the right way, structured and delivered in a way that is designed to help you get results. Even if someone could get the gist of what your courses teach, what your workshops teach, that doesn't negate the value of your premium content. So hopefully this has been useful to you. Hopefully if it's something you're struggling with, it's helping you to overcome that roadblock. Or if it's something you've started to worry about, it's just giving you a bit more food and it's getting you to think about content and think about the value proposition of your membership in a different way. You cannot be fearful of sharing your expertise. Otherwise, your membership will be the best kept secret in your industry. So I do hope that this episode has helped you out. I'd love to hear from you. Is this something you've struggled with? How did you overcome it? Has today's episode helped reframe things for you? Is there anything you're going to do differently? Anything you're going to try out? I want to know. I want to hear from you. Hit me up on social. If you're on Twitter, send me a tweet at Membership Guys. Or if you're inside our free Facebook group, then we'll be talking about this. We'll be posting a link to the episode. Post in the comments your thoughts on the show and your top takeaways. I'd love to hear from you if you're already in the group. If you're not in the group, then type in talkmemberships.com into your browser. That will redirect you to the group. Or you can search for Membership Mastermind on the Facebook app. We've got over 14,000 members in there, and this conversation will continue on within that group. And of course, if you're one of our members over at membershipacademy.com, you know that we'll be diving into this even further within the paid community too. That is it from me for this week. Hopefully you found today's episode useful. I'll be back again next week with another installment of the Membership Guys podcast. If you enjoyed this week's episode of the Membership Guys podcast, we invite you to check out membershipacademy.com. The Membership Academy is the essential resource for anyone at any stage of starting, growing, and running a membership website. Whether you're still trying to figure out what your idea is going to be, or whether your website is already up and running and you're just looking for ways to grow it and attract new members, then the Membership Academy can help you to get to the next level. With our extensive course library, monthly training, exclusive member-only discounts, perks, and tools, and a supportive, active community to help you along the way with feedback, encouragement, and advice, the Membership Academy is the perfect place to be for anyone looking to start, manage, and grow a successful membership website. Check it out at membershipacademy.com.